Okay, so Eventotron is essentially a toolkit for festival, season and venue managers. We work with a huge variety of setups. So we work with open access festivals. So there's no application phase with an open access festival. Artists immediately are in a registration phase. We work with curated festivals, which is obviously the opposite. So they ask artists to apply and then they choose who they're going to program. Lottery festivals, which is how many of the Canadian festivals operate on a lottery-based system. And then we work with some touring schemes, mainly here in the UK, rural touring schemes, who program professional arts into local small venues like village halls and community centres. So it works in a similar way to a festival in the fact that you've got lots of events going into lots of different spaces just across a wider geographical area. Then we work with year-round venues who program their seasons through us, and also one-day events. So Eventotron is a worldwide network now. We have about 60,000 artists, 8,000 venues and over 100 festival and season managers all using the system. So we're going to talk about venues today. And before we start, I just want to clarify what we mean by venues. So venues in Eventotron are spaces in which events can take place, and that can mean anything from a traditional theatre space or a concert hall right through to a bar or a shed or a street corner as a meeting point for a promenade performance, say, or a market square, or indeed a digital space if you're programming streamed performances online. Now, this is quite a helpful thing to just grasp before we start. So if you've got a venue which is like a complex, which has got multiple spaces within it. So in this example, I've got a town hall, which houses a theatre, a studio room and an outdoor stage. That venue, the town hall, would be represented as 3 venues in Eventotron. So you would have your venue, the town hall outdoor stage, town hall studio and town hall theatre. So just to make that clear before we get going. Okay, so we're going to first of all look at accepting venue applications to your festival or season. And in this first example, we're going to look at automatically accepting venue applications. So here I am in my demo festival dashboard, and I'm in the setup tab. And you can see all my information's in there. I'm going to go to this options button here. And you can see here, there are these options to allow venue applications and to automatically approve venues. That means that when a venue applies to your festival, they will automatically be joined to your festival. There's no approval process. So now I've done that, I'm just going to make my festival public in the festival finder. Just say I've done all those things. You may be asked to pay at that point if you don't have a subscription. And I'm just going to show you how it looks in the festival finder. So there it is. And that's how it would look to an event looking to apply. I'm now going to put a different hat on. So I'm now the venue manager and I'm going to create a venue in Eventotron. So here I am as the venue manager, and I go to the venues button in the main menu and I'm going to create myself a new venue. So I'm going to call my venue my lovely test theatre, and I give it a capacity. I can change this information later. So here I am in the venue details for my lovely test theatre. So you can choose a category. It's just standard or outdoor. Most venues are standard. I'm going to include it in the venue browser. We'll talk about that later. This is so I'm Tony Test. I'm just going to put in some more information. So this is the main admin contact for the venue. So I'm just completing this. It's exactly the same as events are asked for. So that's the main admin contact details there. You can see, just filled that in. I can choose a managing company. If my venue is managed by a company, I'm not going to do that at this point. You can decide whether you've got reserved allocated seating or not there, whether you're a meeting point. You can add an image for your venue. Again, this works in the same way as it does for events, so you can edit that venue image. You can crop it and change the view like that. You can put a description in, an email address. So this is a public facing email address you can put in here. So if you've got as a venue, if you've got a you know, an admin address or a box office address, you'd put it in there. And the reason why it's important to fill in as much of this information as possible from a venue manager's perspective is that that information may well be used in print or pushed through to websites. So, and also if you're using the venue finder option, so that artists can apply directly to venues within your festival or season, then you want the artist to get as much information about that venue as possible. So it's helpful if the venue manager completes as much as they can. Obviously, they can leave things blank if it's not applicable. So I'm just putting in a fake address here, and you can see there's this map here. If I'd put in a proper zip code or postcode there, it would move the map to the right area, but because I've put in something silly, it's not showing you. So I'm just going to drag it and put a pin in it. So that's where my venue is, and you can see it's filled the latitude and longitude in there. And then there's an opportunity for me to put some location notes or hire notes, and if there are any hire charges for my venue. Okay, so I'm just going to move to this next section. So I could add some extra photos of my venue. I can put in a video if there's a video available. Here at type of space, again, the venue manager can leave things that aren't applicable blank, but it's useful to tick all those yes that apply. Facilities, again, those that aren't applicable, you can just leave blank, but it's really helpful, as I've said, to give as much detail as possible about the venue, because the festival or season may well share that information on a website or in their brochures. And also it's useful for the artist to know what the venue has to offer in terms of space, etc. So I'm just completing this. So these forms that I'm filling in at the moment are standardized across Eventotron. So all venues see these forms. And we always listen to our users in terms of what's important to have in these forms. So they are pretty detailed, and they should cover everything you might need. So you can upload tech specs and floor plans there, whether there's blackout, you know, other equipment that's available within the venue. And we're now just going to look at this access tab. Again, as I say, this is updated quite regularly depending on new legislation, etc. So there is a lot of detail here, and again, it's really helpful if venue managers give as much detail as they can, so that the access at the venue is really clear on any front-facing publicity about the venue. And there's some online access information you can put in there as well. So this people section, so that's me, I'm Tony Test, and then I could add other people to help me manage my venue if I wanted to, if I had other team members that were going to need access to it in Eventotron. And then when I'm now ready to join a festival, so I'm going to show you how I do that. So here I am again, I've logged out, I'm logging back in as my venue manager. Here's my venue. And you can see there are all the details that we've just completed in the venue details. So now I'm going to join the festival. So here's Demo Festival. and I'm going to apply to it. And you can see here are the terms and conditions that you would have put in under your setup, and I'm agreeing to those in applying. And you can see here it says I've been automatically approved by the festival. So here I am, I now have this demo festival tab, and these sections are specific to demo festival. So that's the intro that you would have put in. And here we are in the settings tab for demo festival. So I, as the venue manager, can make some decisions here about how I want participants to apply to me. So I want them to be able to apply to me. I would like them to, I want to be able to approve their applications though. So I'm locking that as red. I'm going to allow participants to edit their event details, and they can edit their own performances. And obviously live events are going to take place in my venue. These last two are about streaming. So if it was a digital space, I would activate those. So this next section, again, there's nothing in there because we haven't programmed anything into this space yet. And the timeline, again, you would see events in there. We'll cover all this later. And ticket sales, if you're using Super Simple Box Office, they will show up there. Okay, and this is just a screenshot to show you then I'm now the festival manager again, and I've logged in and I'm in my demo festival dashboard, and you can see under the venues tab here that registration of that venue is now sitting there in my venues. So I'm now going to show you how it works if you want to approve your venue applications, as opposed to just automatically having them join once they've hit apply. So we're going to be looking at this from the perspective of the festival manager in this first instance. So I'm just in my setup options tab here, and I'm just changing automatically approve venues to no. So now I'm going to look at it as the venue manager. So here I am as Tony Tess logging in. I go to my venues and I'm going to join the festival. Hit apply, and you can see it's slightly different here. And now I've got the opportunity to write a message because I'm not going to be automatically allowed in. So I'm just going to pop a message in there to the festival manager. Again, I'm agreeing to the terms and conditions by hitting apply. And you can see here, demo festival's been notified, and they can contact the venue by email once the application has been looked at. And you can see that orange line showing that the application is pending. So I'm now the festival manager again. So I'm just going to my demo festival and my venues tab, and you can see here's the my lovely Test Theatre application. You know it's an application because it's in orange. And I can look at it just as the venue manager can, and I want to accept that venue to be part of my festival. So I just tick it and click accept. I can send the venue manager a message at this point, and then I can accept. Just refresh that, and now you can see it's now part of my festival. Okay, so as I explained, the venue details that I filled in as the venue manager are standardized across Eventotron, so they're the same for every venue that's entered into Eventotron. If you have questions that are specific to your festival or season that you want your venue managers to complete, you can add additional venue questions, and I'll just show you how you do that. So this is just a screenshot. I'm in my festival info collection tab here. And as you can see down here under venues, I've got a create a new venue section. And it works in exactly the same way as creating a section for an event. So I can create a new section and put in some questions that, again, as I say, are specific to my festival or season that I need venue managers to complete. There's also an option here to choose to set some of those venue fields that are in the standard venue details as required. So there might be some questions that that we ask in those standard questions that you absolutely want venue managers to complete, and you can make them required here. Okay, I'm now going to show you how you as a festival or season manager can create a venue yourselves. Maybe you manage it yourselves, or you want to invite a venue manager in. So rather than them applying to you, you set them up and invite them in to manage the venue within Eventotron. So I'm back in my festival dashboard. I'm in the venues tab here, and I'm just going to hit create a new venue. So give it a name and a capacity. Again, it's very similar to the other setup. And here I could add the venue manager at this point. So I pop their email address in there, and they'd automatically get an email with some login details explaining they've been made the venue manager of that venue. I'm not going to do that at this point. I'm going to administer it myself. So I've just created it, and this is how I see it as the festival or season manager. You can see we've got all the festival specific sections up here, and then the basics, the standardized venue basics are here. So I'm going to start with those, and I start in the general tab, just like the venue manager did. It's all the same forms. And I can choose now. Again, I've got the option to now add a main admin contact. And as I say, when I put that email address in there, that person will get an automated email to say they've been made the venue manager for this space. Again, there's all the same questions, the managing company. I could change the capacity if I wanted to. Could make it reserved seating. Yeah, image description. So it's all the same. So you can complete that as the festival or season manager. You can complete all the venue basics yourselves. And then I'm now looking at the venues, the festival specific stuff. So I can change all the settings as the festival or season manager. So I have control over all the venues in my season, but I also have the ability to add venues myself and run them myself, or invite someone in to run them. Okay, it's also possible to import venues from other festivals or seasons you might have in Eventotron. This is a really useful tool. It means that you're not creating duplicates of venues. So it's really worth knowing about. I'm just going to quickly show you how you do that. So again, we're in the venues tab in the dashboard, hit import venue, and this will bring up a list of all the other venues in your other festivals and seasons in Eventotron, as long as they're under the same company. You'll see them in there. So I'm just selecting the ones I want to import and hit import selected. And that's just brought all those venues over from my other festival. Okay, now we're going to talk about the venue finder. So the venue finder is what you set up in info collection for your events as they're registering. If you want events to apply to venues as part of their registration process, then you need to use the venue finder. I'm just going to show you how you do that and how it works from both the festival side and the venue manager side. So I'm in my festival management dashboard. I'm in the venues tab. I'm just going to go to info collection and show you. So here's the venue finder. This is a standard section. It'll be in your festival when it's first set up. And here you decide whether you as the festival are going to allot venues or the events can apply to venues. So I am setting it as events can apply to venues. I'm now in the events tab. I'm just going to go into an event and show you what the venue finder looks like to the event. So here I've pulled some venues from a festival that we work with, just because they're really detailed and you can see how a venue looks when an event is searching for it and they're going to apply. So you can see there's lots of information here. They've filled in all that access and facilities information. They've got extra photos and there's a map there. So I can search by name of venue. I can also search by facility. So I can search under the capacity I need for my show. I can search under any of those venue details that will have been inputted. So I'm going to look for venues that are performance spaces. So there are 11 of my venues that offer that. And just have a quick look at another one so you can see. Yeah, so as I say, the more information, the better, really. And then I would hit that inquire and apply as an event or a show to apply to that venue. Okay, now I'm just going to show you how you make sure that your venues show up in that venue finder. So I'm just going to look at my lovely test theatre here, go into the general settings under the basics, and that including venue browser that I mentioned earlier. At the moment it's set to no. So I want this venue to appear for events to apply to. So I've hit yes, and I'm now back in the events tab, looking at it as an event would. And you can see there's my venue now showing up in the venue finder. There's a quick way to do that. So if you've got loads of venues and you want to make sure the ones that need to be in the venue finder are, you can choose including venue browser from the general drop down. And here you can see this one isn't in the venue browser, but I want it to be. So I'm just going to hit yes. And that's updated that there. So just to confirm, the way that you do that is that you run the report and then you hit the cell that you want to change, and you can change it from there. You can do that to multiple cells if you select the other ones that you want to change at the same time. We're going to look at how you join venues and events. So this is if you, as the festival or season manager, want to join the venues to events. So let's go through that. So we're in the events tab here. And I want to join Fate Test the Musical. I could join multiple events if I wanted to, all to the same venue. And you go to actions, add to venue, and choose the venue you want to add to. Go back to the venues tab, and you can see here now that that event is joined to the venue and it's in progress. So I'm going to hit the venue ID and events, and you can see there's my event under my festival information in my venue. And you can go into the event from the venue and set the dates, times and prices. So to do that, you just hit add performance sessions here. and choose a start time. You can change the length of the performance, choose the dates, date. Put in the ticket prices. You can decide on if there's any accessibility. And there you are, you've got the performance set up there. I'm just going to add another one. So I'm going to put one in on the 9th and I'm going to put it in at 8 o'clock. So I've got 2 performances programmed at my lovely test theatre of Fake Test the Musical. Now I'm just going to show you what that looks like in the timeline. So this is the timeline for this venue. I'm just extending the timeline there so you can see both the performances. I could add performances and sessions here if I wanted to. And I can also make changes to performances here. So I want to move this one to 8 o'clock. So I literally just click it and drag it. And that makes the change. And I can change the other one at the same time if I want to, but I don't want to do that. So that's just a quick way of scheduling or changing the schedule. You can print that timeline as well. So we're going to look at events in conversation. So this is specific to festivals or seasons that have events applying to venues as part of their registration process, and work with external venue managers as opposed to managing venues themselves. So here I am, I'm an event in this instance, and my show is called A Testing Play. And I'm in my demo festival tab here. And I'm going to my venue finder. And I'm going to apply to my lovely test theatre. So I've opened it up and I'm having a look at all the information. Looks good. I think that's where I'd like to perform. So I'm going to drop that venue manager a message in the Inquire tab here. So I put my message in there, hit send, and you'll see that message then appears there. I'm also sure I want to perform at this venue, so I'm going to confirm my event interest. I have to do that if I want to be joined to the venue at some point. So I've confirmed my interest in that venue and I've sent them a message. Okay, now I'm the venue manager and I'm going to show you what they see from their side. So here I am. You can see I've got a little message sign there, so I know that someone's got in touch with me, but I would have also received an email to my normal email account. So here you can see events in conversation. There's a little icon to show that I've received a message. So I open that up and I can see there Tom Test has messaged me, and he's also confirmed his interest in performing with me at my venue. So I can respond. So I can stick a message in there. And send that. And then I want to accept this event. So I am going to host it at my venue. I could, if I wanted to, I could archive the conversation if I don't want to take it further. But in this instance, I'm going to confirm my interest. And in doing so, the event and the venue are joined. So that event has now moved to events at your venue tab. And I, as the venue manager, can set some performance dates, times and prices there. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like from the festival or season manager's perspective. So here I am as the festival or season manager. I'm in my festival dashboard. I'm in the venues tab. I can see there's a conversation that's happened between a testing play and my lovely test theatre, and I can see that a testing play is programmed in. So I just want to see how that's sort of come about. So I'm in my venue here, and I'm in the events section. So I can see here, there's the event, and I can see which festivals it's also joined to. I can read the infirm reviews for that event. And I can also look at this talk and invite tab, and that shows me the festival or season manager. It shows me that conversation that's taken place and that the venue and the event have confirmed their interest in each other and are now joined. So I'm going to talk to you about an add-on feature called the events menu. So this is something that isn't standard in the festival management dashboard, but you can request to have it included. And this is the way that if you work in a way which you want venues to be able to see the events that are available at your festival or season, then you would need to use the events menu. So it works the opposite way, as it were. It allows venues to approach events and have conversations that way. So you could have both options available. So events can talk to venues and venues can talk to events. So this is how the events menu works. So I've requested that I have the events menu activated. And to do that, you just need to get in touch with me or Chris, and we can activate that for you. So here it is in the festival management dashboard event menu. And this means that you can highlight some or all of your events to your venue managers or promoters, and they can have access to those events in their management console, and then they can contact those events easily. So I'm enabling the menu. You can stick an introduction in there. And then there's this menu criteria option here. So this is where you can choose which events you want the venues to be able to see. So you might choose all finalized events if they can finalize without a venue, all unfinalized events without venues, or you can manually select. I'm just going to choose all my events. So I'm just going to the venues tab to show you what that looks like to a venue. So you can see here under my example festival, you can see the menu section is now there, and I can click in and have a look at the information about this event. I can read the information, the reviews, and I can talk to the event. I'm looking at it as from the festival manager's perspective at the moment. I'm just going to show you what that looks like for a venue. So I'm the venue manager here. I'm just going to look at what that menu looks like. So there it is under settings. So I can see all the events that are available, and I've got that talk and invite option, and I can look at all the information. Okay, in some circumstances, you might want to restrict the access that venues have to your events. So you may not want them to see all the information that you're collecting from events, or you might not want them to see any information about events that you've programmed into venues at all. It very much depends on how you work. And as I said at the start, you know, Eventotron is very flexible and we work with lots of different setups. So I'm just going to show you quickly how you might restrict venue access. So I'm in my demo festival dashboard again, and I'm just going to the setup options tab here. And if you scroll right to the bottom, you'll see here there's event access for venues. So obviously in most cases you want the venue managers to have access to all the event information, but sometimes you might want to restrict that access. so you can restrict it completely so that the venue has no access to events programmed into them at all. I'll just show you what that then looks like to the venue manager. So here are the events at my venue, and I can't click into them, so I just know that they're at my venue, but I don't have any access to their forms. You can also, if you're using the portals feature, which is another add-on, again, it's free, but you need to request it. And I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail about how portals work, but if you've set up a venues portal, which pulls through specific information you want to share with venues, as opposed to all the information from an event, then you can select your venues portal in that same drop down. And so I've done that. I'm just going to show you what that looks like to a venue manager. So again, I'm looking at the events in my venue, and when I open it, I don't get the option to set dates, times and prices, but I'm just getting the information that the festival or season manager has decided to share with me through portals. We'll talk about portals in another webinar, but that's just useful to know if you as the festival or season manager do all the programming, but you want your venue managers to be able to see what's been programmed into their venues. Okay, we're going to cover the reporting and other functions in the venues tab. So here I am back in my venues tab. And I'm going to just show you how you might run a report on your venue information. So I'm going to the general section here. And I just want to pull all the information I've got. I want to know who's in the venue browser, I want main admin contact, image, description. I can choose any of the fields in here or under facilities, technical. I'm going to choose this access field. I want to know if the space is wheelchair accessible, and run report. So now you can see here I've got a report which includes that information I've requested. And whether there's an image. It's a good way to see if you've got if there's information missing that you definitely need. It's a good way to check. Now I'm going to show you how you would bulk email your venue managers. So I'm going to select all my venues, all 12, and hit bulk email. And you can see I'm sending to 12 venues. You just pop a subject in there and obviously write the body of your email. You can add an attachment. You can make this email a template if you wanted to, send it frequently, and then you just hit send. So I want to get rid of one of the venues in my list. I don't want it to be part of my festival. This will completely remove it from my festival. So I'm going to hit reject. So I select the one I want to reject. I can email that venue and tell them I'm doing that. And then you hit reject. Just refresh and you can see it's no longer listed there. Right, so this venue, Fake Theatre, I'm going to unaccept this venue. That means that it will no longer, you can't program into it anymore, but it'll still exist within your venues list there. But you can see it's in the application state, so it's orange. I've already talked to you about how you would accept venue application, but that's just to show you how you unaccept. So you can export data to CSV there, so you can run a report and then export to CSV. And this is the timeline for all your venues. So you can change the start time of the timeline and the length of the timeline. And you can also change the color coding. So this is color coded by venue here. And you can see all your venues and all your events in one timeline. And you can do as you could in the venue specific timeline, you can move and change performances from that. and you can filter results as you can in the events tab. I've put tests in the filter there, which doesn't help because they're all called tests, but you get the idea. So that's covered everything I wanted to talk about today. I'm just going to have a look at this chat question. It's not, well, you can, the question is it possible to change the schedule when ticket sales have started? You can change the schedule if ticket sales have started. It's quite complicated to do that because you'd have to move those ticket buyers to the newly scheduled performance, which you can do. It's all possible within Super Simple Box Office to do that. So yes, you can change the schedule, but it's not advisable because it makes life a bit more complicated. But it's totally possible, and yes, you can move your ticket buyers from one performance to another if you have a reschedule or a cancellation or something. Yeah. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to ask? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me this morning. We've